My name is Gleason, and I'm 5.5. My name is Brody, and I'm 7. Ellie likes music. She likes to play. She likes to eat dinner and get dirty. I love my sister so much.
They told me that it was a mass. And when I first found out and I called John on the phone, I didn't put 2 and 2 together what a mass was. That a mass is a brain tumor in the head, and that it means cancer.
Some of the most sobering statistics about pediatric brain cancer are that it's now the most common solid cancer that children face in the United States, and it is also the most fatal and most difficult to treat. 10 years ago, Dr. Mark Swadan and I founded the Children's Brain Tumor Project, and our goal over the next 10 years is to continue to improve the outcomes for children with brain tumors. The truth is that most children with brain tumors do end up enrolled in a clinical trial at some point over the course of their care. In fact, 10 times more likely than adults. Unfortunately, most clinical trials are ineffective. So at the Children's Brain Tumor Project, our goal is to reimagine how clinical trials are designed and delivered to children with brain tumors.
Clinical trials are great. Sometimes you can find efficacy, but generally speaking, they're broad. They can't be tailored to the patient, and you have to fit a very, very, very specific mold in order to make sure that you line up and can be accepted into that cohort.
So when we got the call from Dr. Greenfield that he was going to be working with precision medicine on Ellie's tumor, I was very excited.
Precision medicine as a global term, I think, really has taken on a number of iterations over the last 15 or 20 years. It started out as the idea that we can actually sequence the DNA derived from a tumor cell to get that signature of what a tumor was composed of, what was driving the tumor. I think precision medicine has evolved a little bit more in terms of thinking about it as precision therapeutics. How can we use the information that has been derived from the tumor to affect meaningful and intelligent decisions regarding what's likely to work on that tumor? And so the next generation beyond that is actually taking thousands of drugs and testing them against the cells, growing these tumors in animals and testing the drugs that we know work in a dish against the animals growing the child's exact tumor in replica, in triplicate, and in testing these drugs against cells that have actually been radiated. This is a really new, exciting part of our precision medicine protocol. Since so many children get radiation and then go on to precision medicine protocol, we're actually replicating that disease course. So the cells get radiated and then we do precision medicine on those cells, because there's no point in treating cells that have not been radiated when the actual tumor has. And so we're really trying to replicate in parallel the disease course that the child is going through in the clinic while we're in the laboratory. So at any point along that disease course, we can intervene and say, at this point, this is what we think is going to be most active against this child's tumor.
When I think about the precision medicine, this isn't something that's cool and unique. This is something that's necessary, and this is our lifeline. This is our last and only hope, if that's what Ellie needs.
One of the challenges of precision medicine is really thinking about how we can do this in a real-time fashion. So what we need to do, and what our mission is to try and accelerate all these time frames down to something tangible, something that means weeks or a month, where we can say, your tumor's been removed, you have a chance to recover, and while you're recovering, we're gonna figure out what goes next. Each child's tumor acts as its own clinical trial against an entire repository of drugs that may be active against that tumor. So instead of saying, well, let's test this child's active tumor in the body against one drug and see if it does any better than everybody else, we're gonna take that tumor out, put it into a dish, and test it against hundreds or thousands of different compounds, and figure out before we give it to the child which drug is going to be most active and most likely to be effective when it's given to the child. That's an N of 1. The 1 is the child, and the clinical trial all happens before the child even receives the drug.
With these N1 clinical trials, they are geared specifically towards the actual patient. They are tailored to treat a specific tumor, and I think that they will have the best chance of efficacy.
The vision for an N-of-1 clinical trial is really expansive. It can be offered when there are no other options available for the child, and a biopsy can be performed and an N-of-1 clinical trial can then be started. The other opportunity is to do it earlier in the disease course, but that has to be then measured against the known expectations of what a standard of care regimen would likely derive in terms of a benefit to that child. Obviously, having a drug combination that works in the lab against Ellie's tumor is super exciting for us. To know that we have that there is kind of a culmination of this vision from the last 10 years that has allowed us to get to the point where we can actually offer this to little children like Ellie and to every child who shows up with one of these devastating diagnoses. Children like Ellie continue to reinforce for me and everyone here working in the lab why we're doing this.
The sad truth is that pediatric cancer is just so wildly underfunded. 4% of the total government budget goes to pediatric cancer, and it's simply unacceptable because you just can't move forward with such a limit.
Accelerating the cures, reimagining clinical trials doesn't happen in a vacuum. This is a really large enterprise, including lots of scientists out there, lots of expensive equipment. Translating this into cures over the next 10 years is going to be an expensive endeavor. This is absolutely essential that this work continues because we're so close to being able to take the science and really translate it into therapeutics. So for anyone who's out there and who is thinking about donating, who's been compelled by Ellie's story or has been compelled by what we're doing at the Children's Brain Tumor Project, we'd be incredibly honored if you would support us in any way. And we can tell you that we will certainly pay it forward in the lives of the children that we are saving every day here. So thank you so much for your support.
I just want to thank all of the doctors for doing all of this stuff for Ellie. I love my sister so much, and I thank the doctors for all the hard work.